It's time for Mortgage Matters, the GMFS weekly radio show, heard exclusively on Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. And now here's your hosts, GMFS CEO T. Brown and Pamela Matassa.
Welcome back to Mortgage Matters. Michelle Miller in Lafayette is our Mortgage Banker of the Week, and we're joining her at the Youngsville office. You actually work out of the Lafayette branch, though.
Right.
And your office is located off of North University, just minutes away from downtown Lafayette. How are you, Michelle?
I'm great. And you?
I'm doing great. I want to talk to you first about having decided to be in the mortgage lending industry. How long have you been in the industry? And tell us a little bit about your experience.
Been in the industry about 10 years. I love it. I feel like it's a magical job, kind of like Disney World. We make dreams come true.
I like that. And so you've been doing this for about 10 years, you
Yes.
said.
Mm-hmm.
And how many different companies have you worked for?
3.
For 3. And what do you think sets GMFS apart?
I love that it's family oriented and that they actually care about us. You know, I worked for a big, huge corporation when I first started.
Yeah.
And we were just a number. And then I worked for a little mom and pop that was affiliated with GMFS, and they didn't really care about anybody either. And I feel like GMFS cares, and that's why I'm here for the long haul.
You know what I think is that a lot of people see what's in front of the scenes or the face, but we don't see what's behind the scenes, like the corporate culture.
Right.
And what makes an organization tick. And I think that's what you're saying that you like most about GMFS.
Right. I love the foundation of GMFS.
And the neat thing for people who are listening is to know that the entire mortgage lending process is done in-house. We do our own underwriting and our own processing. And for 90% of our borrowers, we actually service the loan. And that's important to know, that you might not know about many of the other mortgage companies that you might be considering or dealing with, is that if you need to talk to someone or you need to reach someone, we are available. And Michelle is available. Michelle, how do we reach you?
My cell phone number is probably the best way to reach me. You can text me or call me, 337-945-3539.
Let's talk do's and don'ts. What are some of the do's during the mortgage lending process?
Don't be afraid to ask questions. If you're in doubt about anything, especially credit related, always pick up your phone and call your loan officer. Call me. I'd much rather tell you don't do it than have to fix a mistake if you actually do it without asking me. So there's no dumb questions. You know, always ask first.
That's important.
Right. And doing your research, making sure that when you're shopping for insurance and getting quotes, that you're getting them for legitimate sites. A lot of people just always looking for the cheapest. Cheapest is not always the best.
Oh, that's a very good point.
Yes.
So when we talk about insurance, we're talking about homeowners insurance.
Right. Homeowners insurance, shopping for sufficient coverage. A lot of places do, they just call and they'll give you just a basic dwelling package, but you want your contents. You're buying a house, you're investing in a house. You want your contents protected. You don't want just the lowest quote. Sometimes people don't shop apples to apples, and I'm here to help you with that as well, to guide you in the right direction.
And when we talk about insurance, people have questions in their mind. Do I need to pay that little bit of extra money to get flood insurance? Well, in South Louisiana, we have been through some tremendously trying times. And although you might not be in a flood zone, we recommend that you get flood insurance.
Correct. You can't escrow it in your mortgage if you're not in a flood zone, but I always highly recommend paying that $300 a year, because if you're not in a flood zone, you can get the max is $250,000 worth of coverage in flood, but $300 could give you a lot of money if your house does flood, even though you're not in a flood zone.
And separate from flood insurance itself is the additional content coverage through flood insurance.
Right.
So that's something that you need to be aware of as well.
Right. And getting in touch with good insurance agents and building a relationship with an insurance agent is just as important as getting in touch with a good loan officer.
Are there any more do's that we should have on our list?
I always tell people, keep your income documents, keep your pay stubs for at least 3 months. A lot of people tend to shred their information after it passes, the direct deposit goes in, but you might need to go back and explain something or bonuses. Keep your information, at least 2 years of tax returns at all times. A lot of people can't locate these things. These are very, very important things. You shouldn't just lie around.
Now, are we ready to move on to some don'ts?
Correct.
These are things that that Michelle does not advise you to do during the mortgage lending process. Don't
open and close new credit. Don't go refinance your car. Don't buy a new car. Don't close a bunch of credit cards. Don't open a bunch of credit cards. Don't go change your job 2 days before closing, because that's a big don't. Don't make a big, large deposit. The problem we have a lot of times is people don't negotiate maybe closing costs in their purchase agreement, and then we tell them they need $5,000 to close, for instance, and then they go take it out of their safety deposit box and they put it in their checking account. You can't do that. You can't make large deposits, because we have to source where all your assets come from. So that's a very big thing. Keep your money in the bank. Don't keep it in a safe.
How long does it take to source money?
Depending on the loan type, a month to 2.
So you're looking at the potential of setting back the closing of your loan by upwards to 60 days or so.
Correct.
Just because you've put money in, maybe from the safe deposit box, into your account.
Correct.
That you're going to use for, say, the closing.
Yes, I've had customers, they only keep $500 in the bank and they pull out the money and they keep it at home. And that's okay. That's the way some people do things. But when you're going to buy a house, you don't want to do that.
Are there any other big don'ts that you can think of?
Changing employment, like I said, don't go and quit your job just because somebody offers you $1 raise when you're in a week or 2 of closing your loan, because that will set it back as well. If they really want you and they want you to work for them, they're going to wait that few weeks for you to close on your mortgage first.
Do you have a particular strategy that you use when you are dealing with your borrowers?
I think education is key. I think education is something that nobody can take away from you. And if I educate a borrower, I find even when it comes to rate, even though we're great on rates and normally can beat everybody's rate, if you take the time to educate a customer and you invest your time in them, they're going to be loyal and realize that I'm really trying to help them. So I think in 2018, my major focus is going to be on education. And
there's more to getting a mortgage than just a rate.
Right.
And when you talk about the small fraction of a change of a potential interest rate that a customer could be paying, it traditionally does not impact what they end up paying per month.
Correct. And because I'll help you get in touch with good insurance agents and get better insurance quotes, all those things that come into play. Some people will quote you on a lower rate, but when it comes down to it and you go to lock and disclose, they're back at the rate that I had told you before. So sometimes they'll just tell you things to try to get your business. But I feel like if you're upfront and honest and educate the buyer, they're going to be more adapt to staying with you.
Michelle Miller is our mortgage banker of the week this week. She is located out of the Lafayette branch. You can go on to gmfsmortgage.com/Michelle.Miller to direct link to her website. You can give Michelle a phone call on her cell at 337-945-3539, or you can email her at mmiller@gmfslending.com. Any other lasting words you'd like to leave for people?
Just do research. Education is key. I'll live by that.
And that is a resounding message that you have given throughout this interview, is education. Do your share to take a look at researching. Research who you're going to choose as your mortgage lender. Research who's going to be your loan officer. And don't be afraid to ask questions. And your loan officer should be prepared to give you a lot of pertinent information from the get-go, right?
Right.
And then we've given the do's and don'ts and told people, do this, don't do that. But really, the strategy that you outline for your borrowers is what impacts them, not just today, but in the long run.
Correct.
And then keep in mind, finally, that GMFS does service 90% of the loans after they close. So it's not just a see you and goodbye. We're there with you for a long haul. And that means somebody like Michelle will be with you long after you close the loan. And that's what makes a good loan officer and a good mortgage company. Thanks, Michelle.
Thank you.
And we'll be back with more of Mortgage Matters after this short break.
Thanks for listening to Mortgage Matters, the GMFS weekly radio show. For more information about anything you heard today or for any mortgage questions, please go to gmfsmortgage.com. This has been Mortgage Matters on Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP.